What's up, everybody? Demon back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about the Kong Skull Island box office news. Really good news for us Kong fans. So this is good news for King Kong and the Monsterverse entirely, because with Kong performing as well as it is, that is really good news for the future of the Monsterverse. Now we know that Godzilla 2 is going to most likely, depending on how Kong Skull Island does worldwide, we are still waiting on the Chinese release of the film. Of course, we have a Chinese company who helped produce the film. We also have Chinese actresses involved, so we do know that there's going to be a large audience in China, as Godzilla 2014 had a wide, really big audience in China, really big money pull there. So we are still waiting on the Chinese release for Kong Skull Island, but the American release and the semi-global release has already happened, and there is really good news for us Monsterverse fans. This potentially means Godzilla 2, Godzilla King of Monsters, is going to have a much larger budget, leading to 2020 when Godzilla vs. Kong is going to come out. That should be a really high-budget movie, and it should dominate. So let's get into this news. Kong Skull Island estimated to open at $40 to $50 million. For those of you who know, that is a pretty dang low opening for a box office for a big blockbuster movie. Now, Kong Skull Island definitely overperformed here, and a lot of people think maybe that's just because people estimated too low, or people think that it could be from the positive word of mouth. I personally think it's that. I think Kong Skull Island was the underdog here, especially against Logan, which is still doing really well. It had an amazing first week, and a lot of people love Logan, and it is a movie with a lot of heart in it. I went and saw it. It's a great movie. But a lot of people thought because that movie is just really good, Kong Skull Island wasn't going to be able to compete. And then I think people like me and some of the other reviewers, we all fought as hard as we could go see this movie. It's really good, and it looks like a lot of people did. So I'm really happy about all the positive reviews this movie's getting, and this big widespread of everyone going out and seeing it. So let's get into how much it made. It made $61 million. It overperformed by about $10 to $20 million. Really good news for us Kong fans. Its actual total is about $51,020,000. Really good. It also only played at 3,846 theaters worldwide. This is also pretty impressive considering the fact that Logan, which had a 56.9% drop and only made about $38 million, meaning Kong Skull Island made about $20 million more than that. Logan played at more theaters, and that means that even though that movie had a wider spread, technically, yes, it did come out before Kong, so, a lot of people had already seen it by this point. But, for people estimating that Logan was going to hold on to that #1 spot at the box office and continue to dominate because of its much larger release, 2,000 theaters plus is still a really high number. So a lot of people thought it was going to do a lot better than Kong. Meanwhile, Kong actually took the lead here. Now, Logan does have a lower budget than Kong Skull Island, which means that Logan is doing better considering its budget. Kong Skull Island has a budget of about $185 million, whereas Logan only has a budget of about $97 million. This is still really impressive for both of the movies for the fact that Logan is doing so well on quite a low budget, whereas Kong, it's impressive because not only did it overperform, but it does seem like we are well on our way to make back our budget, which is what we need to get a high budget for the next movie in the series, the Godzilla King of Monsters. So Kong Skull Island ranked #1 at the box office, which is really impressive. Jordan Vogt-Roberts tweeted this out, and he was pretty excited about this, as he would be, because this is his movie, his baby, and it's dominating. So really good news for us kaiju fans. So a little bit more about what we can expect from this movie is Godzilla 2014's domestic release in total, after everything had been said and done, was about $200,676,069, which is amazing. So that was 37.9% of its total profit. Now, yes, Godzilla 2014 didn't just completely blow everyone away at the box office. It didn't do anything like that. But what can be said is the fact that a movie that was not received terribly well did this well in America alone. It's not even an American franchise, which means it was doing really well, all things considered. Now, its foreign release, which made up 62.1% of its income, brought in about $328,400,000, and its total worldwide gatherings is about $529,076,069. Still, once again, really good. That means it completely tops the Kong Skull Island budget. It topped the Godzilla 2014 budget, which means it made a lot more money than it spent. Hopefully we can expect the same thing for Kong, the same kind of like really wide international audience coming in and getting Kong Skull Island lots of money. We know the movie's being heavily promoted in Japan right now. We also know that the directors of Shin Godzilla, or at least one of the directors of Shin Godzilla, is in support of Kong Skull Island. Really good news. And speaking of Shin Godzilla, let's talk about Shin Godzilla's box office. So domestic, Shin Godzilla didn't do very good in America. It only got 2.5% of its total income came from America. You know, that's not completely all that high, but then again, it was a super limited release in America, only played for like 2 weeks and played at select theaters across the country. It was also a Japanese film dubbed in English. It was not expected to do very good. Now, it in total brought in about $1,918,403. So Kong Skull Island is already done better in America than Shin Godzilla did. That is to be expected. Although worldwide, Shin Godzilla during its total release did better than Kong Skull Island did in its first weekend. Now, it did not do much better. So Shin Godzilla made about $76,029,204, and that was 97.5% of its income. So a lot of this came from Japan, meaning if we know one thing, it's that Kong Skull Island is going to have a wide audience in China, because China is a huge movie-going public. Also, China is really big with this movie because it had Chinese support. It had Chinese actresses, Jean Tian. It also had a Chinese company helping it out. So it is going to do really well in China if estimations are correct. But we also can tell if Shin Godzilla did so well in Japan, there is a craving for kaiju movies again, which means Kong Skull Island, as well as Godzilla 2014 did really well in Japan, is going to do pretty well to really well, depending on how the audiences react to King Kong. We know they like Godzilla, clearly. Shin Godzilla won all kinds of awards. It is just killing it still, winning tons of awards. Everyone in Japan loves that movie. Now, Kong Skull Island doesn't have any deep connections to Japan like that movie did, so we don't know how well it's going to do and how well it's going to connect with audiences. But if one thing can be said, it's that kaiju movies are back in style in Japan. Kong Skull Island should at the very least do pretty well in Japan. This accounts for a big worldwide income, so hopefully Kong Skull Island doesn't take too much of a dip by next week. We know for a fact it will. Hopefully it's not too big. The reason we know it will is because Disney's Beauty and the Beast is coming out, and that is going to just slaughter Kong Skull Island. It's going to slaughter everyone, Logan and everything. I don't know why Disney's such a huge player, but it is. In recap here, Kong Skull Island made $61 million, which is about $10 to $20 million more than it was estimated. It was still about $30 million underneath the first opening weekend box office for Godzilla 2014, but it did overpower Shin Godzilla's release in America, Shin Godzilla's release in Japan, as well as the Chinese audience. If they can tell us anything, it's that Kong Skull Island is going to do really well internationally in foreign income. Hopefully, Kong Skull Island is a major success, makes back way more than its $185 million budget, and we can continue to get these great monster movies in the future. The Monsterverse can flourish, and we can get some awesome kaiju action. So, I hope you guys all enjoyed. I will continue to cover the Kong Skull Island box office as it develops because it is really important to all of us. We want this movie to do well. Go see this movie again and again and again. I'm doing it. Get your friends to go see this movie. Get your family to go see this movie. Get as many people as you can to go see this movie. That's my plan, and it's somewhat working at this point. My brother, who absolutely hates monster movies, hates kaiju in general, Godzilla is like his least favorite thing in the world, he went to Kong Skull Island. He walked out of there saying, I don't know why anyone on Earth wouldn't like this movie, meaning it is doing really well. And if it's a success with my brother, who hates this kind of stuff, it's got to be a success worldwide if more people go and see it. So guys, get as many people as you can to go see this movie. Hopefully Kong Skull Island only takes like a 20% dip next week. We know it's going to be more than that just because Beauty and the Beast is coming up. But hopefully it's not that much more, because we don't want a major dip. We want this movie to continue to do really well. Hopefully it stays in the top 5 or 10 at the box office this next weekend. I don't know, guys. Only time will tell. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. D-Man,